But I had to put her on the side and worry
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
It's not really. It is to me. Right. Idiot.
Like on my bells. It's hard, you know, that's real tough.
But I had to put her on the side and worry about the boys.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
It's not really. It is to me. But I had to put her on the side and worry about the boys. But I had to.
There is no investigation.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I had to put her. But I had to put her on the side and worry about the boys.
Welcome to the lab, everybody. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. Good to be here. Good morning to you, or afternoon, wherever you may be and wherever you may be listening from. Thank you for tuning in and joining the lab on this Friday morning / afternoon. It is slightly after 10:30 here on the West Coast, and we welcome in everybody just joining us. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. And thank you so much for just all the support. And I know last night, Chris of the interview room had a fantastic show. You want to talk about somebody who just surgically picks apart the layers of the case of Summer Wells. It's spectacular what he does. So thank you to him, and thank you to everybody else that will be here. And we will get into a little bit of that either later on in the show or a different time, and we can kind of dovetail everything into what we're talking about today. And I get a lot of questions all the time. I get a lot of emails, and thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. I appreciate that. Let me see. Victoria Patrick says, so happy to be a part of this live stream. Love the lab. Love TIR. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very, very much. You guys are always awesome and just more supportive than I could ever have imagined. But it is the weekend. The weekend warriors, you're happy. We're happy. The weekend is here. Go Warriors. Forget the Celtics. I bet you 95% of the people that watch this show don't watch sports, and that's perfectly fine. But that being said, we can just move on to the topics at hand. But I get a lot of messages, I get a lot of emails. People always say, you know, they tell me a little bit about their life, and they tell me a little bit about what they have going on in their life. Good, bad, otherwise. Mostly bad, because usually when things are going good, people don't necessarily reach out that much because it's not necessary. And people look for inspiration and reassurance in different places. And I'm glad that people do feel comfortable reaching out to me to talk to me about stuff. Like I said, I'm not, I am in no way a clinician. I am in no way somebody who is overly qualified to give you medical advice or anything like that. But life advice is a little different. We've all experienced life in one way, shape, or form, and we all have our own kind of ebb and flow to life, and the way that we kind of treat life. But a lot of the, you know, I grew up hearing this a lot, and I know that you guys have heard it too, is the old saying, life is not fair. Life is not fair. Life is not fair. Life is not fair. That's inevitably true for everybody. It was never designed to be fair. It was never designed for fairness to even be a qualification in life. Fairness, you just kick it out the window. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The problem is some people's lives are easier than others. That is no doubt, by no fault of the person who has an easier life or no fault of the person that has a harder life. It's just what it is. And what do you say to the person that has the harder life? Well, you have to say, keep pushing, keep trying, keep walking uphill, and don't give up. Because inevitably, if you do give up, or say you do lay down, roll over, whatever, however you want to look at it, life is harder that way. You keep pushing to try to make life a little bit more tolerable, just a little bit at a time. There's nothing wrong with just pushing on, persevering. There's nothing wrong with that. There never has been. Every day is when you take days individually, it's much easier to compartmentalize your life. It starts with structure and discipline. And a lot of us don't have structure or discipline. We've never been taught structure or discipline. What we've been taught is a bunch of stuff that isn't useful, that doesn't lend itself to a better life, such as criticism, drama, anger, fighting, putting people down to make yourself feel better. None of that stuff lends itself to a better life. None of it. And the reason it doesn't is because those things are feckless. Tearing down doesn't make anybody's life better. It just makes it worse. It makes everything worse. It makes it worse for the person that you are going after. It makes it worse for you. Because I'm telling you, if you think that just because you're going to put somebody else down, I've seen it. Look, when we watch YouTube, and this is a perfect example, I see a lot of people say, yeah, I've done this, but look what this person's done. That person had a drug problem or has a drug problem. Who cares? Is that your problem to worry about? No, it's not. It's not your problem to worry about yet. What happens is we take it upon ourselves to interject ourselves into other people's lives when they have absolutely bared their souls to you in a way that most people never would. In a way that most people never would. And then it's weaponized. We weaponize the things that people tell us in confidence, especially when there's a quote unquote breakup. What happens from there? Chaos. Well, this person did this. This person does that. Your life hasn't been as easy as mine. Your life is way better. Okay, fine. I didn't choose my life. You didn't choose your life. But there's time to mold. There's time to shape. And there's time to work at it. The old saying goes, life isn't a race, and that's true. It can tend to drag on. It can also tend to be boring. It can also tend to be directionless and undisciplined. But Josh, my life has been so hard. The people that I grew up with had it so much easier than me. What good does that do to even acknowledge that? What does their life have to do with yours? But it's not fair. Once again, everybody knows the old saying, life isn't fair. We all know life's not fair. That's so cliche. It's not about life being fair, and it's not about life being equal or even. It's about personal responsibility. It's about making the right choices. It's about trying to improve our lives. One of the things that stuck out to me growing up is the victim mentality that a lot of us end up with sometimes. You've never gone through the things that I've gone through. A lot of times people would always tell me, but Josh, what I've been through is nothing compared to what you've been through. And I said, well, I don't know what that means. And they said, well, what happened to you as a kid? And I would say, yeah, but what happened to you as an adult has never happened to me. I don't know how I would deal with that. What the problems that you have and the problems that I have had are much different. Severity aside, our problems are unique. We don't compare problems. We just try to help. Oh my gosh. That's nothing compared to what I've been through, says the most selfish person of all time. Says somebody who doesn't understand exactly what it means to have to suffer. Look, the fact of the matter is your life may be bad, or you may have had a rough start at it, but people die horrible deaths at young ages. People are left mangled in car accidents. Drunk drivers hit them. They've never done anything wrong in their entire life. They've never done, they've lived right. They don't swear. They go to church. And some jerk selfishly drinking and driving one day just runs in to somebody and leaves them paralyzed. That's why I've never believed in the idea of karma. Now, to a certain extent, I guess I do. I do believe what you put out into the world comes back to you. I think that if you live an ultimately positive life, mostly positive things will happen, but that's not a key to the city. That's just not what that is. It means that majority of the people that you will attract, the majority of situations that you will attract, the majority of experiences you attract will be overwhelmingly positive. But rest assured, hard times are coming. And while while you are soaking all the positive up, you must prepare for the bad times as well. You appreciate the good times and you're prepared for the bad. It's gonna happen. Life is gonna happen. And life is hard enough without everybody tearing each other down, talking behind people's backs, instead making fun instead of helping. Negativity erodes your soul. It just does. And and if you live an ultimately negative life, I can guarantee you by about age 45, when the kids are grown and your wife or husband has had enough and they say, I can't take your negativity anymore, and they leave, life becomes lonely. It becomes very, very lonely. Then what? Well, then you're left with your own thoughts. Your kids don't want anything to do with you because you're negative. Your spouse didn't want anything to do with you anymore because you're negative. People will abandon you, and for the right reasons. You're a sinking ship. People might like to watch you yell at somebody, especially on the internet, because anybody can say anything that they want to somebody over a microphone or a computer. And there's almost no repercussion or consequences. There's no physical threat. It's not like if you cross the line, when you cross the line with somebody in real life, if that person is inclined to punch you, that's what's going to happen. So what keeps you bottled up is the fact that, well, you know what? This person might put their hands on me. That's not what we deal with here. We deal with, you can say whatever you want, whenever you want. And what are you going to do? Strike me? You're going to strike my channel? Ooh. Everybody knows that's the, please don't strike my channel. People are more worried about getting their channel struck than actually getting struck in real life, because, there's absolutely no repercussions. You can cross the line. You can be a habitual line crosser, and it doesn't matter, because there's nothing nothing that person's going to do to you. Nothing. Other than fire back on a public platform and try to publicly humiliate you. And if you haven't been living right, you are very susceptible to being publicly humiliated. That's probably on you. That not only is that inevitably on you for the way that you've been living, but also engaging in that kind of behavior. Negativity comes with anxiety. It comes with depression. It comes with a scared feeling. People love to fight. People love to watch people fight. Don't get me wrong. Like when somebody's arguing, look, the arguments fascinate me. You kind of go, wow. But there's a difference, folks, between arguing and being hateful. There's a huge difference. We have a hatefulness issue in the world. And arguments are no longer arguments. They're just flat out psychotic, throw everything against the wall, whatever sticks, whatever hurts, I'll take. Let's forget about the mental illness factor here, that more people are more hypersensitive than ever in this world because of, reality TV, social media, YouTube, whatever. And we have a lot of people in the world that have platforms that don't need platforms, that don't deserve platforms. Yet we give it to them anyway. Yet we lend our ear. What's that? You got the goods on somebody? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. What did that person do in 1989 that was so terrible? You did what? You got busted for cocaine when you were 19? How old are you now? 72? Oh, well, you're a bad person. Hey, everybody. Old Freddie over here got busted for drugs when he was 19. Well, Freddie's 72. But we love a good blast from the past. We love negativity. We have been brought up in it. Drama. I watched a lady the other day when she was training she had a trainee, and it was at this drive up 50 style restaurant where I got the biggest corn dog you've ever seen in your life. And it was fantastic. And the young lady, who couldn't have been more than 16 or 17, she had made a mistake. She rang somebody up for the wrong amount, or she stapled the wrong ticket to the wrong bag or something. And I mean, the lady that was training her was just like, I don't know why you would do that. I don't know. And there's a long, I don't know why you would do that. And then she turns around to very loud, instead of walking over to her, very loudly goes, she rung up the wrong person and you can just see the young kid's face. Yeah, she's embarrassed. She's just trying to learn the job. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's such a better way to handle this. There's such a better way to handle this. And what ends up happening is, so I wait outside. I'm waiting for her to bring my order, and she comes out, and I tell the young lady, hey, don't go back and say this to her. She's your boss, but she's overly dramatic, and she shouldn't be training you the way that she is. Not everybody in the world is that way. I said, is this your first job? She says, yes. And I said, they're not all like this. You can get through it. Try not to feel embarrassed about the way that this lady is training you, because the way that she's doing it is embarrassing herself. And all you got to do is just keep your head down. You'll get it. And she said, thank you for making me feel better. And I said, I'm glad that it helped. And and I'm just telling you this, the way that this lady just talked to this young girl was just unacceptable. I couldn't believe that this is how you train somebody. She's stressed out. Big deal. Everybody gets stressed out. Everybody gets overwhelmed. Everybody has a right to feel that way. That's not an issue. But the issue is just the blatant disrespect. I don't know if the lady meant to embarrass the young girl, but she certainly did. She certainly was embarrassing her. First job, scared, nervous, busy. Take it easy. Make life a little easier for somebody. Now, I don't know what the lady training the young girl is going through at home. I don't know if she has a rough home life or not, or if that's just the way that she was raised, by rolling your eyes and going, I can't believe, that kind of stuff just lends itself to chaos. That kind of attitude just lends itself to making everybody on edge. Maybe she doesn't have the tools that she needs, and that may be no fault of her own. The atmosphere was chaotic. It was packed out the door. I've managed young people before, and you have to mold them. You have to, especially the young men and women that I would train for a job and try to help them out. The best way to do it was to try to do it with understanding but firmness. You can criticize somebody in a way that is helpful. They might not like it, but you don't have to embarrass them. You don't have to embarrass that person. But they do. A lot of people do. And you're right. She may not be, you know what? This is a drive-up diner. Maybe the lady that is training needs training herself. Because I'll tell you what, to get somebody to work for you and respect you at the same time, well, that's a two-way street. That's a two-way street. And you want the people that look up to you and depend on you for advice to respect you. That young lady looked like she was at her breaking point. And I'm not saying that the lady that was helping or trying to train was being malicious about it or anything, but she just had a sense of chaos about her. A nervousness. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't help anybody. Matter of fact, what it does is the opposite. Now, she may think that publicly humiliating somebody might work. It doesn't. It doesn't. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people who publicly try to humiliate people on the internet, or this, tit for tat, back and forth, blah, 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 blah. I don't look at the I'll tell you what, I have never once looked at the person that was being talked about negatively, or at least as negative as the person that's telling it. Everybody makes mistakes in their past, and anybody can find that out at any given time, especially if it's been criminal. It takes a special kind of person, and not in a good way, to air somebody else's dirty laundry to the world. That takes a real special person. And when I say special, I don't mean in the you get a gold star for the day. I mean, what's going on in your life that you feel it necessary to, in a public forum, say the things about somebody that has had many problems? What does that say about you? Nothing good at all. Never. This gotcha mentality is it's for the birds. It's for the birds. It doesn't work. How can we help anybody when we can't even help ourselves or keep our own mouths shut when it comes to other people's lives? Now, set aside the blatant liars, because there are those that are that. And we've talked about that on this show before. We have talked about, white lies and black truths. And if most of you, I think, are familiar with, white lies being a harmless lie that's told. No, you don't look fat in that dress, or no, your belly's gonna get in the way of the tuxedo that I rented for you. Yes, your haircut looks good. Just things that avoid conflict, things that avoid meanness, things that avoid, you, like I said, you could always just say, yeah, you look terrible. You could, yeah, you look terrible. Sorry. Bummer. You you don't need to be that kind of honest, right? That's a different kind of honesty. But then you just have people that are blatant liars. And how do you deal with somebody who just blatantly lies about you? That's a great question. Because have you ever had somebody just make up a lie about you? I have. Not often, but it's happened. I have had somebody make up a blatant lie about me before. Not once, not twice, maybe, How do you deal with it? Well, the lie, you can kind of look at it as a a spark that's lighting a fire. And that fire can be lit. And what do you need to keep a fire going? You need oxygen. Well, the liar can only give so much life to the fire. Now, if you go, you know what? And this is another thing I hear on YouTube all the time, and you'll never hear me say this because it is so immature. And I understand why people say it, but it's just so. I have receipts. I have receipts. Oh, I could prove it all right now. I have receipts. Like, cool. Oh, no, I saw you. You said this. I screenshotted it. I have receipts. I will expose you. What? Expose what? Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. We all have problems. We've all made mistakes. We've all done things that we're not proud of. I have receipts. You have receipts for what? To try to humiliate somebody? To try to humiliate somebody? What? So then what happens when you do that? Do you feel good? You humiliate somebody, they leave, wherever they're at or whatever position they're in, they're gone. And what do? You stand up on a rock and go, I won. I exposed you. What did you win? A prize? What is the victory? Is it moral? Is it a moral victory? Is it a physical prize? Is it just you knowing that you have so much venom in you that you can extinguish somebody that has more problems than you do? That doesn't take a lot of skill at all. It doesn't take a lot of skill. What takes a lot of skill is building somebody up, trying to help, ignoring the hatred. All of that takes skill. That is what takes real skill. Blocking out the noise and continuing the fight that you have in front of you that's important. Your life, your career, your children, your spouse, your family, everything, whatever that may be that you're doing that actually matters. Not side notes, not people who want to tear you down. To engage with them is never a good thing. There will be no winner. What do they say? The best revenge is living right. I know that's a cliche term, but it's true. If you're living right, your life will get better. Your life will get better. Maybe marginally. You may never own a 20-bedroom mansion with 15 bathrooms, but you also won't have 20 rooms to clean and 15 bathrooms to clean. You won't have to pay somebody to do it. No problem with living meek. There's no problem with ignoring hateful and derogatory comments. There's no issue with that. That only makes your life better. That only sets you up for a world that is built on the premise to try to tear you down. From the second you're born, you're dying. It's what happens in between time that matters. And we've gotten really, really far away from that kind of stuff. And that's why I said the other day, I'm not a part of the quote unquote true crime community. I'm just not. I know that such a community exists now, but it's not for me. It's not my community. I didn't start it, and I'm not going to end it. I'm just not a part of it. Because that's what I choose. That's what I choose. And I'll continue to choose that. Give me 1 minute here. I got to adjust something. Sorry about that. But anyway, that's the reason that I'm not particularly into communities. These kind of communities. It's not something that I'm really that enthused about or with. I mean, when you talk about communities, I think most people get along. I think that's what happens. I think when you're in a community, people are supposed to come together. That's just my theory. That's just my impression. I don't know. That's just how I've thought. So the fact that we even use that term, quote unquote, YouTube community, well, there's not much of a community here. Usually a community is something that's tight knit and looks out for each other. I've seen almost none of that where I'm from. From where I'm sitting, I don't see a lot of that. It'd be great if it happened, but it will never happen. Not like this. Not like this. And I understand why people want to defend themselves. I understand why people want to fight and defend. And look, it's no secret that, people say bad things about us behind our backs. And sometimes in front of thousands of people. It's happened to me. It's happened to me here on YouTube. Things that there have been things said about me and others that I know that just simply aren't true. People lie. The criticism I can take. You don't like my views, you don't like my beliefs, you don't like my theories. Make your own. Talk about yourself. I used to say that all the time. When somebody would just talk like, oh yeah, well, you know, and I said, no, you know what? If that person's not here, why don't you talk about yourself? Don't you have something to talk about yourself? I try to tell people that all the time. Nobody knows you better than you. And you don't know the person that you're talking about as well as you probably think you do. Oh, well, I heard that person has a drug problem, or that person looks like they're on drugs, or that person. Okay, so what's the point of you telling that? Are you looking to help the person or what? Usually the answer is no. For a bunch of different reasons. Usually it's just because people are ugly and insufferable and mean and you know, that's kind of the basis of life. People are mean, ugly, obnoxious, rude, and lie. You get a lot of that. And to weed that kind of stuff out is very, very difficult to do. But at the same time, I think it takes so much more strength to hold back. That's where I think that the strength comes from. You don't have to respond to every little piece of criticism. Did you see what that person wrote on Facebook about me? Did you see what this person wrote on Twitter about me? Did you see what this person said about me on YouTube? Well, I guess. What does that matter? What does that matter? Is that person that's criticizing you, are they going to pay your bills for you? Are they going to come over and be your life coach, or are they just going to give you crap? Is that the only reason for it? If you can resist the temptation to defend your quote unquote honor, and trust me, there are certain situations where absolutely you should defend your honor, but you can't just go around thinking that you're in the medieval times riding a white horse with a bunch of armor on and you're like, I'm gonna defend my honor. Hoo-ah! It's not like that. It's just not like that at all. It only matters if you can stay focused on your task at hand. That will better your life. Now, I don't know what that is, and I don't know how you need to better your own life. You may have some idea of how to make your life better. I know what I need to do in my life to make my life better. The whole point, though, is to actually do it. Knowing and doing are two completely different things on opposite sides of the street. And if you stand in the middle of that, you're going to get ran over. You can't do it halfway. And I would challenge anybody that has a platform, anybody that has a voice, anybody that has compassion, a human that has human compassion. Let's just stop. The fighting is not acceptable. It's actually terrible. It sucks. I think being kind and genuine takes so much more strength than lashing out, mocking, threatening, whoever. Now, do people cross the line? And by the way, they will stop talking about you eventually. They will stop talking about you eventually. I promise. It's called Flavor of the Week. And have you done some things in your life, in your past, that you're ashamed of? I don't think that there's one person in the universe that can say that they have not done something that they're ashamed of. It just doesn't seem logical. It doesn't seem logical. It's not logical. Now, if you continue to do this, then you have a much bigger problem. But things that you do in your past that you've corrected and moved forward from, sure, there's still a past, but I've known a lot of people that have had really bad past that have put that behind them. And they've gone on to live successful, meaningful lives. What is it that people that don't have meaningful lives or structure, what do they have in common? Lack of responsibility. Usually these kind of people are unemployed. They're kind of vagrant, not necessarily homeless, just, move on from job to job because everybody that they work with is an idiot and they're the only bright one there. So they can't stay in one place for too long. And they move and move and move and move. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault, and it's never anything that I've ever done. The worst people in the world, folks, look out for this. And I'm telling you, moving forward, keep an ear out for it because you'll hear it. If you spend enough time listening to anything, anybody in your life, at your work, on YouTube, on the radio, on TV, wherever, watch out for the people that are adamant about being a good person. Those tend to be the worst kind of people. Oh, I'm a good person. Well, you don't get to decide that. It's not just something that you get to say, well, I'm a good person, stamp it, and it's notarized. No. That's not how it works. And I hear people all the time try to convince me, well, I'm a good person. Based on what? Based on what? Why are you a good person? Because I am. You're not just allowed to say that. That's not how that works. Just like, like you choose your own nickname. What degree of slander and mockery is over the line? Well, I think any of it is. I think any degree of slander and mockery is crossing a line. I mean, it's there's not really a gray area there. There's not some little, lag. I think it's all the same way. But I also think that the people that do the slandering, and there's a lot of that, the people that do the slandering, the people that do or that say hateful things, I'm a good person, I never lie, all this stuff. First of all, if somebody ever tells you, look, man, I don't lie. Well, sure. Okay, whatever. Never lied to a boss. You never lied to a boss about why you were late. You never got pulled over and said, "What were you speeding?" Nah, I wasn't speeding, knowing damn well you were speeding. Self-preservation lying is still lying. Why little small lies are still lies. You may not feel that your lie is some grandiose, lie that's going to take down the whole system. But to just sit there and qualify yourself as a good person, I'm a good person, that's not how life works. That's not how life works. Do I think I'm a good person? Not particularly. I think I could be a better person. I think I could be more attentive. I think that I could be more caring, more loving, more passionate. And people would say, well, Josh, you're all those things. Well, sometimes I try to be. I hope I am. I've never, ever felt that I was some high quality human other than just trying to live correct. That's it. Just trying to be respectful of others. The pursuit of being a good person is one that you pursue quietly. You don't have to advertise it to the world. You don't have to advertise it to the world. You can if you want. You're setting yourself up for failure. Well, I've done this and I've done that and I've done this and I've done that. Done what? We've all done stuff. We've all done stuff. Brunel says, I have total respect for what you're putting out here, Josh. You're making all the points we on YouTube and in life need to hear. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Lula says, I'd never intentionally seek out to hurt folks on the internet. That's a good, that's how we should be. That's how we should be. But unfortunately, the world is full of liars, thieves, cons. The world is full of them. And people will drag your name any chance that they can get. People love gossip. People love fighting. That, unfortunately, for some reason, has become part of our society. And I personally think it all starts with, like, I saw a preview the other day for there's like a new Jersey Shore coming out, which is just like, ugh. But the advertisement was more fighting, more drama, and you're just going, and little kids are like, oh, the situation in JWoww are really going to get into it today. Who cares? Who cares? The situation. It's like, that's what our kids are looking up to. Jersey Shore. More fighting, more secrets, more, and you know, then after they all fight, then they're out at like some dance club, like, I'm sorry, I love you. They're like drunk and like hugging each other, saying, oh, I forgive you. It's like so stupid. And then little kids are like, wow, I want to be like that. Why? That's not real life. That's not real life. It never has been. It will never be like that for you. Those people get paid to act that way. And we have a lot of people in the world with voices that emulate that behind a microphone or behind just a computer screen with the toxic energy flowing through their veins, through their fingers, and it's typed out onto a keyboard and thrown out into the ether for everybody to see. Sally cheated on her boyfriend in 10th grade. Boop. And Sally's going, I'm 37. You went and looked up my boyfriend from 8th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade? Yeah, I did. Boom. Awesome. Thank you. So I was like, you know, what the hell is that about? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There are no consequences for lying. The only consequence really is to that person that, you know, if people want to believe somebody without anything to back it up, or if people want to just believe bad things about somebody because somebody said so, well, try having your own thoughts. Consider the source. Have you ever heard the term consider the source? I certainly have. Consider the source means if somebody's saying something about you and you go, well, that person says something about everybody. That person has a problem with everybody. That person has a problem with their self. Well, okay. Why take it to heart then? Why take it to heart? You know how that person is. And you got to stay away from that person and recognize when those people rear their heads. The funniest part is when you talk about these people, they don't even know that they are those people. They have convinced themselves that they aren't the people that are causing the issues. Have you ever said something that you shouldn't have to somebody in confidence, and then that person told somebody else, and then all of a sudden you're the one talking trash? Sure. Sure. I have. I have. But in my opinion, if somebody's going to come after me and try to ruin me or say things about me, I mean, they better aim really high, and they better have something really salacious, and they better have an outstanding reputation, because if there's somebody out there that's saying something about me that has a criminal history as long and wide as the ocean, why would anybody even care? Why would anybody even care? You wouldn't. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. But also the thing about it is the repercussions for people that are lying, it usually benefits them, because there are people that do eat it up. Gullible people that are easily preyed upon. That's a shame. That's where the major problem comes in. And to try to quote unquote convince somebody that that all they're doing is using your vulnerability, well, that's where the problem is. Now, like-minded people will gravitate. Criminals like criminals. People with sketchy past like people with sketchy past. And people that continue their sketchiness into the future also tend to flock together. They tend to mold and you know, it's really terrifying to think that people, groups like that exist. And they do. And it's terrifying that there are people out there that will just lie and lie and lie. Now, the opposite of that is, you know, people that are honest and truthful and meek get ran over all the time. What I mean by ran over is people try to take advantage of you for being a good, kind-hearted person. Whatever type of advantage that they can try to take, that's fine. That's why you having a mixture of empathy and strength is very important. Empathy and strength are two things that go together. You have to realize when somebody doesn't want you, or where they don't not want you, but they don't want you to be better. Because if you have people in your life that are bringing you down, you have every right in the world to get rid of that person. You have every single right to do what you got to do. What motivates the cruel bashing? Jealousy, paranoia, drugs, alcohol, you know, all the bad stuff, mostly. All that. Jealousy, mostly, I would think. Jealousy is a hell of a thing, because if you think, you know, I don't know what's worse, hatred or jealousy. I mean, they're both debilitating feelings. Feeling jealous is not a good feeling. Nobody likes to feel jealous. They just do. Nobody likes, but jealousy turns to hate. Hate turns to rage, and then sometimes rage turns to violence. But it's all on the same track. It's all on the same street. It's all a part of soul degrading actions. But like I said, it's an unusual phenomenon, because the people that need to hear this the most will think that this is for their enemies. Strange how that works, right? The people that need to hear this the most won't hear it, because that's not how their mind works. They'll think that the person that they're beefing with or have a problem with is the one that needs to hear it. We all need to hear it. I've needed to hear it, and I'm passing it along to you, because I've heard this before and it made sense to me, and it resonated. It resonated in a major way. I hope and I pray for civility and love and compassion and understanding. And sometimes that's a one-way street. Matter of fact, it certainly is a one-way street. It's very rare that those sort of things reciprocate in the way that you want them to or need them to. But love reciprocates. Kindness as well. Passion, structure, being dedicated to whatever it is in your life that's healthy for you. That is the uphill battle that we all deal with. Yes, somebody may have been born into a much better situation than you. God bless them. That's okay. That's not your life. If it were, somebody else would feel that way about you. But inevitably, if all you do is complain about the poor situation that you've been put into, it only gets worse. Poor me, poor me, poor me. You're right. Poor you. It sucks, and it's tragic, and it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. But there's no changing that. There's no changing where you start from. There's no changing from where you were placed. And as you go into your weekend, hopefully everything will go extremely well for you, and people will treat you with respect the same way that you treat people with respect. And you'll be able to ignore if somebody has something bad to say about you. As hard as that is, it's not impossible. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. Take it from the master. I've gotten pretty good at it. I wasn't always. Sweet Tea says, I'm so guilty and need to be constantly reminded. Joshua, thank you. Thank you. And I as well need to be constantly reminded about these kind of things. It's not that they sit in my mind all day and I follow every single thing that I think is the right thing to do. I'm missteps are a part of life. It's a part of life. Missteps are a part of life. What we need in the world more is kindness and compassion and empathy and understanding. Yet we get hate, drama, cruelness to the extreme. And another point that I was going to make is that there's really the only real problem with somebody lying about you. And most people can't afford to do something like this, is that, if it hurts, if it publicly, like if business wise, if it hurts you, you can sue for slander. Who has that kind of time and money? Most people don't. Most people don't have that kind of time, money, resources, any of it. But what is free is learning to just ignore it. There's a lot of hatred in the world, and a lot of it I can understand why somebody would hate. Oh, I hate what you did. I hate what you did. Anybody ever accused you of something that you didn't do? Sure. I've had that happen. It's never fun. I have lived my life in such a way that I'm nothing close to perfect. I've never claimed to be, and I never will be. But I have made a habit of trying to do the right things in my life. But yet, I've stumbled so many times. I've made the wrong decision. I've reacted in a way that wasn't proper to the situation. All kinds of stuff like that. I certainly have. But every day you have a new chance. It's true. Every day there's a new opportunity. Even for the incessant liars out there, even for the scumbags out there, even for the murderers, even for the thieves. There is a redemption. Maybe not with me, and you're going to have to take it up with God at some point, or whatever it is that you believe in. And if you believe in nothing, then maybe you'll just, fade off into blackness forever. If that's what you want, you can kind of live your life, your afterlife, the same way that you live your normal life. But if you don't want to, if you just want to wallow in your misery, then life is going to pass you by. One day you're going to look in the mirror. You're going to walk into your bathroom. You're going to look up in the mirror and you're going to go, how did I become so bitter and so angry? And now I'm old and nobody's here. Nobody wants to be around me. Nobody wants to deal with me. I've ran off everybody that has ever loved me. My drinking's out of control. My impulses are out of control. My relationship with my kids isn't what it needs to be. My spouse left me. What do I do? Even for that person that late in life, there's hope. Because if you have one day can change your whole life. One day you can decide that this is where it all turns around. It's okay to feel that way. It's okay to struggle. It's not okay to continue the destructiveness that you've started in your own life that roots its way into every little crevice of everybody, any little crack that anybody else allows you to have, and you become infiltrated by that person. It's okay to separate yourself from that person. We're all here to be used. We're not here to be misused. Loyalty is a tricky thing. There's nothing wrong with being loyal, but loyal to a fault, loyal to your own detriment. No, I'm not going down with your sinking ship. You're not taking me down. But some people never come to terms that they're the problem in their own life. And those are the people that we have to avoid. Thank you very much for being here. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her on the side and where
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation. This boy has
not related to this to me. Right. Idiot.
I've done my best. It's hard, it's real tough.
But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
there is no investigation. This boy has
not related to this to me. But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys. But I have to.
There is no investigation.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her. But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
not, really?
Don't say any F's and stuff. Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her
Don't say any F's and stuff.
on the side
There is
and worry
no.
about
I'm gonna
the
do
boys.
what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and
There
stuff.
is no investigation. This boy has.
not, really? It is to me.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation.
Idiot.
I've done my best. It's hard, you know. It's real tough.
Don't say any F's and stuff. Don't say any F's and stuff. Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her
There is no investigation. This boy
on
has.
the side and worry about the
There is
boys.
no investigation.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
Not, really? It is to me. But I have to put her
Don't say any F's and stuff.
on the side and worry about the boys. But I have to.
There is no investigation.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her. But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys.